Hey guys, this is Red from the future, just hanging out in the editing booth, doing our thing. Just wanted to give a quick update on this episode. This is a very spoiler heavy episode for Last of Us 2. Around the 17-minute mark, we just kind of go into it, and that's all we talk about for the rest of the podcast. So if you're not into getting spoiled for Last of Us 2, just giving a quick warning, we're going to be talking about a lot. So that's we're going to give you another warning in the episode, but after that, it's all full sail from there, full spoilers. So this is your first warning. You're going to get another warning at the time it's about to start. So just wanted to let you know, and that's it. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome back to Topic Change, the only podcast that updates once a week. As always, I'm your host, Red.
I'm your co-host, Nicole.
And man, we are just hyped up, dude. This is insane. This is a historic moment.
First time in history we've hit the deadline. We've made it. We did it.
We decimated a lot. We broke a lot of new ground.
If you're unsure about what we're talking about, we posted.
Just look at the dates, bro.
Yeah, we actually did it. We posted within a week.
Still haven't finished the Resident Evil video, but
we're
one step at a time. You know what I'm saying? Just like the 12-step program. Step 1, post video. Step 2, post actual content. So we're just gonna get right into. We left that teaser for you guys last week instead of last month.
What the heck, man? It's only been a week. We've only made you wait 7 days instead of 7 months.
It's, you guys are really going to appreciate us more now that we actually...
But before we talk about that, I think I want to start with some YouTube drama.
Drama?
Make them hang on
give them a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
So... I don't know if you've heard about this. This is the thing I was talking about earlier.
Okay. Yeah, she gave me some kind of info that there's some kind of YouTube drama, but she didn't say what. She said save it for the podcast.
So apparently, Jake Paul, the FBI raided Jake Paul's house.
This morning.
I'm
sorry? For what purpose?
And so I guess I read a couple articles. Pretty much, he was being investigated because he was at a mall in Arizona during a
protest.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
During rioting or whatever, and he was at the mall during looting.
Okay.
So they went to go investigate him, and there's helicopter shots, I guess, of them taking multiple firearms from his residence.
I'm sorry.
And I guess no arrests are currently planned. I thought he did get arrested, but apparently they're saying that he didn't get arrested.
So they just took his guns away.
They took all his machine arms?
Machine
arms away.
Oh, look at that one video where he pretended to get an implant in his arm?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So they just took all his guns away.
You know what I'm saying. Yeah, they took all his guns away. From his... What the heck is it called?
His suite mansion?
Graffiti house, whatever it's called.
Graffiti house?
Yeah, it's like a...
Like a hype house?
Graffiti mansion, that's what it's called.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I've never hated something more.
Like a bright pink house in Vegas. That he
Ew.
lives in. Yeah.
It looks like, when you play, like Sims? And it's design your house. And you're just you don't actually care. You want to make them as miserable as possible, your Sims. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of house you would put them in. Something that's very, very... hard to look at.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to light and say what the heck.
Imagine. I remember. Okay.
Apparently, they're also. I don't know if this is true or not, but they're also talking about human trafficking related to Jake Paul, and I don't know if that's
Imagine being human trafficked by Jake Paul.
That's.
It's one thing to get human trafficked by some guy, right? He's an evil guy, right? Imagine Jake Paul. You're tied up and roped up, right? You're how am I gonna get out of this situation? I'm very scared right now. The lights turn on. Jake Paul walks in, and he has a vlog ready. He's going vlogging. He says, "What's up, Jake Paulers?"
Is this?
And your eyes light up oh my god, I'm being saved. He says, "What's up, Jake Paulers? Today we're gonna teach you guys how to kidnap someone." And your heart sinks. And then
everyone thinks it's a joke.
Yeah, everyone oh dude, this is so funny. Guess what?
I don't think anybody would.
Nobody thinks it's funny.
Yeah, they get mad at him.
It's over for him. Alright, well, on to a lighter note. Pikmin 3 just got re-released for the Nintendo Switch.
Oh, really?
Well, it's coming out October.
Breath of the Wild is also trending. Breath of the Wild 2.
Really?
It's trending. I don't know why. It seems like people are just talking about it. I don't really know why. but I will.
I know because they're supposed to be because
Skyward Sword, huh?
July is like the month of E3 and it got canceled, right?
Uh-huh.
Because of coronavirus.
Right.
Obviously, it's one of the stinky gamer places. You're not gonna let a convention continue when there's a pandemic, especially one for a hobby such as this. Since it got canceled, a lot of the companies just like did their presentations online. Like Xbox did the showcase of all the games coming out. Oh yeah, that was something we didn't talk about. Halo Infinite.
Yes.
Doesn't look that good.
It looks like Halo 3 Part 2.
It looks like Halo 2.
Yeah.
Quality graphics for a game that's coming out in 2020. It's supposed to be the most powerful console ever. Is their marketing for it? Looks pretty bad, especially if this is supposed to be.
It looks like the mechanics aren't.
It looks like
something
Halo.
that I would be interested. Like it looks like an open world
gun.
type of.
It looks like that's
the
what.
grappling gun looks cool, but other than that, I don't know.
It's supposed to be some sort of at least open structure where it's like you get put in a big map and you have like 4 or 5 objectives,
right?
And then you do them and you move on to the next map. Versus, let's say Halo 3, where it's like go from point A to point B. This is like go from point A to either B or C or D, and then in any order you like, and then you're done with the mission and you go to E afterwards.
I don't know. It's interesting, but it doesn't look.
It looks pretty simple.
Any different than a regular Halo game.
It's weird because it's like in one way it's like I would prefer to have the mechanics be the same. Like okay, just Halo Man run jump shoot, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time it's like I already bought Halo Man run jump shoot game 10 years ago. So why am I buying another one?
Right. I guess a different story, more to the story.
Yeah, but that's the only problem is like the story stopped being interesting, I feel like around Halo Reach was when I stopped paying attention.
Right.
Cuz Halo 4 was like it sounded cool, like oh man, like Halo 3 was like a big thing. It was like okay, the story's over now. Huge. And then they were like, guess what? The story's not over for some reason. And it's like, okay, I just don't even care.
Right.
And I know a lot of people who stayed with the series liked 4, but I just couldn't care about it.
It's kind of like same idea with Doom. I don't really
know the story.
Well, the door, but it seems like the gameplay is entirely the same with Doom Eternal versus the newer one. Is that?
Yes, that's Doom versus Doom Eternal.
Yeah.
So
I meant
Doom Eternal is the second one. So I think the difference there, right? Like Doom never really had a story really. It was just like you are a space marine fighting demons, and you run around this big map and you shoot them up. That was the whole story of the original games. Yeah. This one is the same idea, but it's just modernized, and that I think it went pretty well. They did different things in the second one, like different ways of using their mechanics.
Right.
Like just the maps were different enough, like the layouts and the upgrades they were different, and like you could use like the what do you call it, the environment to move around better. Mm-hmm. So it was more like tiny quality of life changes versus like a whole new system.
Right.
Which most of the time is all you need.
Of course.
Which makes me wonder, like, I don't know, it's something about there's a grapple hook. It makes it feel like almost disingenuous in a way, where it's like, it's still Halo, but look
Where
at the
did he
cool...
get the grappling hook?
He put it on.
When?
Did you play Halo 4 and 5? We don't know.
I guess.
We don't know when he put the grapple hook on.
There's probably like one cutscene where he puts it on in 4.
I think they showed a bunch of other indie games. The only thing I watched was the Halo Infinite part of the
me too
thing, and I kind of just turned it off after that because I didn't really care. And then Sony did their presentation. It was also pretty short. I think they showed... I keep saying I hate it. They showed... I think they showed the Avengers game.
Yeah, what I've heard a lot of bad things. I didn't watch it, but it looks like it sucks, apparently, according to everybody.
It looks like it's just okay, and they also showed the Spider-Man, like, character is playable in the Avengers game, but only if you play it on PlayStation, which made a lot of Xbox fans upset. But it's like...
I mean, if is the game Xbox
it's
PS
not
exclusive?
Well, how would that even be? No,
I'm talking about the Spider-Man game. Stupid.
Oh, the Spider-Man game, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the Spider-Man playable character.
If the Spider-Man game is PlayStation exclusive,
then the Spider-Man character.
it makes sense for it to be exclusive if you purchase that version of the game.
Right. But I guess people are like,
But I
it's
can also see why
2020,
people
like,
would
why
be
are we
mad-
still doing
yeah.
console exclusives? It bothers some people. I don't think it really matters, really. If it's like in Mortal Kombat 9 or whatever, you could only play as Kratos if you bought the PS3 version.
Right.
And that's just, it's not like, oh, if you buy this version, you get this character, and if you buy this version, you get this character. It's, you get -1 characters if you buy this version. So this is,
It's a little bit.
you're paying for less product on the Xbox version of the game. That's the only difference.
Right.
And I can see why people are upset about that, because it
They'll
lessens the value.
They'll probably end up making a DLC.
Like a timed
character.
exclusive?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been doing that a lot too, where it's like Death Stranding, which we talked about.
Mhm.
It was a timed PlayStation exclusive, so it was only a PlayStation exclusive for the first year that it was out, and then it was released on everything else. Like, it just came out on PC
Right.
a couple months ago. So I'm pretty sure they'll just do that, but they didn't say if it's timed or not. It just said,
Well, with the kind of hatred towards that idea, I think they're probably gonna do something.
they'll probably try to
it.
get it. Well, the thing is, I think Sony still owns Spider-Man, is why they can't, because
that
like
makes sense.
there was that whole debacle a couple months ago, or like almost
Yeah.
a year ago, I guess,
With
at this
the
point.
movies and stuff.
With the movies, yeah, where it was like, well, he might take him out of the MCU, whatever. And I think that's part of the same reason why he's only available on PlayStation.
Just to
Which is weird, because it's like, if you have the rights to all these other characters,
Why
and
not
you're gonna add Spider-Man, why not try to get him on both systems? It doesn't make sense to me.
yeah, I don't know. There's
Those-
also
What?
but I was gonna topic change. But it's not really changing. It's kind of on the same topic, to be honest.
But yeah, so Nintendo didn't really do anything like that, because they both at least showed a couple games. And then Nintendo came along and they were like, here's like 2 indie games and 1 really old series that like 10 people know about. Well, it's actually a pretty big series, but we just don't play it.
Yeah.
It's called something, SMT or something.
Mhm.
Some Japanese name. And I don't want to butcher it. So they showed like 1 trailer for the next game in that series, and a bunch of indie games. And I was like, see ya, that's it.
Mhm.
It was like a 19-minute video on YouTube. And now, ever since then, they've been slowly sprinkling little trailers for games every couple weeks. It's like, oh, here's a trailer for the Paper Mario game, and it's out next week.
Mhm.
Here's a trailer for the Pikmin remake, and it's going to be out in October. So what people are thinking is they're probably just sprinkling out these like little mini, not too important to them titles until around November, December time, and then they're going to be like, okay, here's
big titles.
next year's
Breath of the
whole
Wild.
lineup. Yeah.
Like all that kind of like.
I'm
big
excited
name
for
stuff.
Breath of the Wild
Yeah,
too,
me
dude. We saw 1 trailer a year ago, and I was like, see
Crazy.
you soon, boys, and that was it. Nothing else. We don't even have a sequel yet. No name on sequel. Just it's
Breath
in
of the
development.
Wild too.
The sequel to Breath of the Wild is in development. That's what they
Yeah.
said.
A lot of people are getting mad about the DualShock controller not being
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
compatible with the PS5, but
I mean,
don't
they've
really
always-
see it as a huge problem.
It depends on what I mean, the new PS5 controller looks pretty much the same though.
It looks the same, but
Visually-
apparently there is like different features that I guess the
5 buttons now.
the PlayStation creator mans are like,
No.
no, we have to have it as this. But on, I guess the PlayStation 4 games are compatible with the PS5. So
okay.
when
Can
you're
you-
playing, what?
Can you use a PS5 controller to play
You
a
can
PS4
use,
game?
I think so, but they didn't say no to that one.
Okay.
But they said that you can't use PS4 controller for a PS5 game.
Okay.
But if you're playing a PS4 game, the PS4 controller will work.
Okay.
But I guess they're like,
I mean,
we
it's
want
better
to,
than like, okay, Xbox. You can't even use an Xbox 360 controller.
right.
You can't even use a PS3 controller. So it makes sense to me.
I don't think that their logic is wrong. I think
Like, okay, think about it this way, right? Playing on a Nintendo NES, right? You can't use an NES controller to play a Super Nintendo game. Can't use a Super Nintendo controller to play an N64 game. So it also makes sense to me that a PS4 controller can't play a PS5 game. I don't think the controllers are different enough for that to matter, but it makes sense to me because that's how they've always done it.
right.
Which I don't know if that's just like a marketing thing where it's like, we gotta sell more controllers.
I think I think you can use PS3 controllers for PS4 games, can't you?
No,
Oh.
they do not plug in.
Well, then never mind.
You can plug in, the USB port is the same size,
But it just doesn't work.
but it just doesn't register as a controller.
Oh, well, then never mind.
we've tried this a long time. I remember we were like trying to play Mortal Kombat like when it first came out on the PS4.
We only had one controller.
And we only had one controller. Like, I guess we gotta play story mode because the PS3 controller doesn't work.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really see a problem with it because I'm kind of used to it, but I guess people are like pretty mad about it.
Okay, that's another thing that this is a completely off
Go for it.
center topic, but like, you know, like when a game has a story mode and it's like that's not the main focus of the game.
Right.
Does it ever feel weird where it's like you just leave it?
Yeah.
Like when we play Mortal Kombat, I don't think we haven't played the story mode of a Mortal Kombat game in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I feel bad because it's like they made this whole big story. It's like I
it's
paid for this
really,
game and I just left it in the story.
It's not really the focus of. Oh, I mean.
Well, I mean, they made a DLC pack that's all about the next chapter of this Mortal Kombat 11 story mode.
I mean, I think when most people play Mortal Kombat, they don't really play it.
Like, okay, I'll put it this way: Mario Party games used to have story modes.
Yeah.
And
now they don't.
Now they don't because who is gonna play single player Mario Party?
Right.
Like you had to play single player to unlock some of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, who is gonna spend time doing that?
Here's the thing: is I think
I guess people did.
If there was a reason to play story mode, we would probably play it more.
Well, but there is a reason to play story mode. You can unlock a character, and we didn't do it.
Oh,
you can unlock Frost.
Frozen Girl. Yeah.
Yeah, we never did it.
Oh, whoops. Well, I guess we just didn't really care enough.
I guess. I don't know. We talked about Mortal Kombat before, I think, on the podcast, right? Okay.
I mean, yeah, the story's not bad. I just don't know what it is anymore because of how long it's been since we've played story mode.
Of any of them.
Yeah.
The story gets a little convoluted. I think once a game series, any series goes on past like 5.
Like with Gears of War, I think the last story that I actually remember is 3.
That's the last one we played.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So we didn't even buy 4 or 5. So how do we remember the stories?
I don't even know what the story was anymore at all.
All I remember is that there are a bunch of big monsters you gotta kill, and some guy's wife is dead, and you gotta make him feel better about it, and he dies too. And I feel there's like one guy who loves Gears of War who's watching this, and
he's so mad.
He is like he's breaking his keyboard to type out a comment about how stupid we are.
Sorry.
Okay, it's been long enough.
Okay, sorry for
20 minutes
nobody
in.
cares about my opinion on this game.
I'm sure someone cares. I care.
Okay.
Okay, Last of Us 2, spoiler warning.
The
next
thing that
let's say, okay, 20 minutes in, let's say the spoiler warning. How long are we going to talk about this?
Probably 5 or 10 minutes. I don't know.
5 or 10? I was thinking like 15.
15? Oh, okay.
Okay, let's skip ahead 10 minutes if you don't want to hear about the spoilers, and I'll try to be like go to like 30 minutes in.
Why don't we just put a thing in after we're done talking about it that says how long we were talking about it in the beginning?
Oh yeah. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so spoiler warning. Skip ahead. There, you know how to put it in. Mm-hmm. Okay,
spoiler warning. So you got to the halfway point of the game.
I'm roughly 13 hours into the game.
Well, I don't know how long that. I just assumed it was halfway point, because you still have to play as. Okay, you just.
Okay.
You go ahead.
I'm just gonna go ahead and talk. Last time I talked to you guys about this,
I
had no idea who Abby was.
Didn't finish the intro.
Yeah, I didn't even finish the intro. I was wrong.
You were wrong.
Abby's not a good character, but.
I think you said that. You said.
Yeah, I feel like she's probably a good character because whatever, if you can play as her, but
yeah.
I was very wrong. So she kills Joel
in the first 2 hours of the game.
First 2 hours of the game, very bad, very bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was devastated about that.
So, what was your feelings on the way that scene played out? Because I haven't actually played the game, but I've watched all the cutscenes and I've seen all the story beats and stuff like that, and I've listened to other people's opinions.
I've listened to absolutely nothing.
Okay, so what did you think about the scene and the leading up to that moment? Like, did you feel like it was forced or weird anyway? Or did it feel, like, natural to you, or, like, what?
I was confused, because it was like, where is this coming from? I feel like no really indication that was going to happen.
Okay.
Because, I don't know, it's just, like, it makes sense, this whole story plot, but at the same time, I feel like it wasn't really necessary.
To kill him?
Yeah.
Okay. See, because, a lot of people were saying online, and I kind of agree with it now that I watched a couple of the early cutscenes over again.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who say the scenes leading up to that moment are very convenient, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
it just so
for
happens...
sure. Yeah.
It just so happens that the person who's on patrol is Joel. It just so happens that there's a huge blizzard.
It just so happens that she goes to find him, and then
it just
she
so
runs
happens
into him. It is very convenient.
that there's a huge horde of zombies, so they can't get back to their own base, and they have to stop somewhere.
It doesn't feel forced, but
You get what I'm saying?
Like, it feels scripted, but not forced.
Scripted
like,
in a bad way, because obviously it's a scripted game.
It's a scripted game, of course, but it feels.
It doesn't feel
scripted.
Natural.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It feels scripted. It doesn't feel like.
It doesn't feel like these two characters happened upon each other.
Forced is a strong word, but
it feels fake.
Scripted means the same thing, pretty much.
Well, it's less heavy, I guess, is what you're trying to say.
It's not as bad, I think, as they're portraying it to be.
Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that a lot of people said. A lot of people said that it happened too early, too.
Oh, for sure. I feel like, it happened pretty much in the beginning of the game.
Because, at least the way I see it, it's like you don't really get a chance to, see where Joel and Ellie are at in the however many years it's been.
Well, I guess you get to see that afterwards, is the point.
But that's the problem that a lot of people had, is that they felt like the game pacing would have been a lot better if all the moments where you interact with...
You get to see all that first, and then his death was
more
emotional.
If instead of it being flashbacks, it's just current events.
Yeah.
And then Joel dies, halfway through the game.
You get to play as, 15-year-old Ellie, and it kind of flashes forward until he dies.
I feel like that would make a lot more sense.
It would make a lot more sense. And then you don't have to play as Abby.
Well, you could even still... Because, okay, we're going to skip forward a little bit, because I do want to try to hit all the story beats that you thought were interesting.
Yeah.
But I had something that I wanted to talk about, because I heard about the Abby thing before the game even came out, that you could play as Abby. They were forced to play as Abby for a good portion of the game. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a fantastic idea. Because, okay, from a writer standpoint, that sounds so cool. Like, finding a way to make the player play as the antagonist and not make it feel like, well, what's the point? Because there's two things you have to do when you're allowing your player to play as the antagonist, or at least see through their eyes. Mm-hmm. You have to keep them interested and keep them feeling like the antagonist is a threat.
Right. And
I feel like they fail on the second part, at least. Right. I don't personally, because I mean, everyone subjectively feels their own way about whether or not Abby is interesting. Mm-hmm. But giving you control of a character means that you have to have fail states, and that means that the antagonist isn't threatening anymore, because you can just, as Abby, run off a cliff and die.
But you can't actually do that.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, but then you would have to restart.
But I'm saying, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It lessens the impact. Okay, let's say... I'm trying to think of this. I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, let's say you're playing Resident Evil, right? Uh-huh. You could play as Wesker.
Yeah.
And let's say there's a fight, the fight where you fight Chris and Sheva. Uh-huh. This is like a complete... 90% of people won't get this. Imagine if you could play as that, mm-hmm. right? And how cool that would be. Like, oh man, I get to destroy Chris and Sheva, right? But
Wesker is a cool character.
In comparison,
yeah. Like, I would want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that's kind of the... There's not much I can do with that analogy without stretching it out and trying to over-explain.
Right.
But...
The
problem is... I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
We're cutting each other off.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When you make a character... Like, when they do something that big, killing a protagonist, especially in such a brutal way, which I'll say this, I really appreciate that they didn't try to overly...
Brutalize it?
No, actually, I like that they overly brutalized it. I like that they didn't over-glorify him.
Oh, yeah.
Because you think about, when you're playing Last of Us, you do all these brutal kills where it's like you stab the guy in the neck, or you shoot his brain out, mm-hmm. right? They're all, regular dudes.
Yeah.
And Joel's a regular dude, too, and... It's not like he's immune. Like, if they could have gave him some, last stand, power, fighting against a million zombies, and, finally falling.
Glenn's fake out death.
Yes, exactly. Where they make it seem like he's this larger-than-life person, and they didn't do that. He gets beaten to death with a golf club.
Right.
Which is a very Last of Us way to go out.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Because he wouldn't go out like a hero. He just went out.
And it makes sense that would be how he dies.
I like the way that he died.
But you don't like how it happened.
I don't like how it happened. Like, that's the thing is, I like how it happened. I just don't like that it happened in the
I
first
think
place.
it would have been even
And
more
also,
emotional if it happened halfway through the game.
For sure.
Like, imagine if at the point you're playing right now,
He died.
He died right now. That would be way bigger.
Would be, like, 10 times more emotional.
Like, imagine if instead of Jesse...
Which, I will admit, did make me very upset.
Imagine if it was instead of Jesse, it was Joel.
It was Joel. That would be, like, traumatic.
Yeah, okay. But maybe not as sudden.
See, because in the first game, Joel's fake-out death was very traumatic because of the fact that it was pretty much towards the end of the game.
And you play as him all the time.
You play as him throughout the entire game, pretty much.
I think there's only, like, one segment where you play as Joel in this one, right? Like, right at the very...
yeah,
like,
right
in the credit sequence.
Pretty much in, like, the intro.
That's it.
Like, the tutorial part of the game. Where, like... It's, like, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still...
A little bit of another fake out right there. You don't get to play as Joel for more than 5 minutes.
And then he dies.
Yeah. So let's rewind for a second.
Okay.
So Joel dies. Then what happens?
Then Ellie finds him.
Oh yeah, that scene happens.
Yeah, that scene happens.
So
she finds him and then he dies. Whatever.
Okay, yeah, she comes across the scene of the brutalization. Yeah. I feel like that was almost like convenient too in a way, where like okay, so
found him.
She found him.
Well, right before he dies.
Right, and it's like, first of all,
I don't feel.
This is my personal. I didn't read anybody else saying these things. This is my personal opinion on the scene. First of all, how did she like just happen to get there at the right time?
I mean, they're all kind of in the same area.
I guess that's true.
And she was on patrol in the same area that he was. He just happened to go into a different building.
Right. And then.
So it's not that hard to.
And then it felt to me personally, usually, well, I wanted to say this is the thing I was going into the whole podcast talking about.
Yeah.
The scene where she gets into the room and she just immediately gets disarmed.
Yeah.
It's like Ellie's a very capable person.
I think she was probably off guard.
I think so too, but at the same time, it's like how many times have you cleared a house?
Strong character, but being one to however many people, plus the fact that she didn't expect that many people to probably be in the room.
I mean, come on now. If you see Joel, it's like, oh God, what happened? How could he have been overpowered or whatever?
If she did overpower all those people, she would have been called like a whatever.
Mary Sue or something? No, I disagree. I feel like they undersold her because they wanted to. They could have even had her at least like tussle for a little bit and maybe kill a guy even, and then like get caught.
Right.
It just felt like they lowered her skill level and like awareness for 2 seconds just so that they could where it's like, okay, if this happened to young Ellie it would make sense, but this is an Ellie who's been surviving for years,
right?
And it would make sense that she's a hardened person. She's very aware of her surroundings. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know, it's just weird to me, but I mean, whatever, it's their game, they can do what they want with the characters and the story and all that. But
yeah, the convenience thing, I can see that for sure, because I did feel like it was like, okay, like, oh, they ran into each other. Oh, okay, now he's getting killed. Like, it was very, like, 1-2, like, it's all falling into place so easily for her.
Because I think what could have been interesting, right, if instead of you running into Joel as Abby in that moment, you run into somebody else that Joel knows. Right? And then you killed them because they wouldn't give you the info that you needed. And then it's like, oh, someone died on patrol. Who could have done this? And it's like a mystery to solve. Even though you, the player, know, the characters don't know. And you're doing this like, instead of Joel's dead, this way, that way, revenge mission, play as Abby. Do it like you play as Abby trying to find Joel. You play as Ellie trying to find Abby, who she doesn't know exists. Just who is causing all these problems. I think that would have been an interesting story to tell. That would be an interesting way to do it. But at the same time, it's not the revenge story that they're trying to tell. And I know some stuff that happens that I know you don't know, so I'm not going to say anything. But I do want to talk about that next episode when you're done with that. So I also just realized we did not talk about any more plot points. No. We talked about this for another... Okay.
We can cut out some bits.
I liked what we were talking about.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
So Ellie finds them. She gets beat up, but not killed for some reason.
Yeah. They let her go.
Because?
Because she said Abby was like, we did enough. Like, we killed him or something like that. I played it last night, so...
Doesn't even make sense.
She was just like, we don't need to kill them. like because okay, here's her reasoning was pretty much
If
she were to kill those people, she wouldn't have been any better. She wouldn't have been any better than Joel because Joel killed her father. So because of the fact that he killed so many innocent people for no reason, in her eyes, she didn't want to do the same thing because.
I think didn't her teammates also say something like,
it's
"Oh, come on now, it's a little bit abusive." Like
they're gonna. But
right.
half the team.
Half them were like no, half them were like yes.
Yeah.
And then she was like no.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so I'm at the point now where I'm forced to play as Abby after killing Jesse.
But you haven't. It's like a flashback, right?
It's a flashback. It's
so you haven't killed Jesse yet.
Yeah, we're back to Seattle day one, and.
Okay, hold on. We missed a couple parts because the way that if I am correct me if I miss anything, but the way the story goes is Joel dies, Ellie finds him, gets beat up also. Then her and Tommy plan a revenge mission.
Tommy goes off without her.
Oh yes.
The night before,
and she chases after him.
And she chases after him, but she was already going that morning.
Okay, then does Dina go with her?
Dina goes with her. Halfway.
And when does the weed scene happen?
The weed scene happens before they go. The weed scene happens before Joel dies.
Okay.
So yeah, Ellie and Dina go
on an adventure.
On their adventure
to
together.
Go revenge.
Halfway through that, I think it's like Seattle Day 2. Or yeah, they find a theater and they kind of like bunk out in there, and then Dina's like, "I'm having a child," and and then Ellie's like, "Okay, whatever," goes off. Yeah, and I guess tries to find Tommy. And then she runs into Jesse, which then they both go back to the theater afterwards, and then Jesse's like, "She's having a baby, isn't she?" And then Ellie's like, "Yeah," and then.
So it's Jesse's?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know if that part was explained or not in the story.
I mean, it's
at that point.
It's not.
But it's obvious.
It's kind of implied.
Okay.
Because they were together and now they're not together.
Okay.
I explained this very poorly, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then after they are... Then they find out that Abby is in an aquarium, and her and Jesse go to find her, and they leave Dina at the theater because she has a baby. And then halfway through them going to the aquarium to pretty much just find Tommy at that point. Her and Jesse split up because she's like, "I want to take this boat," and he's like, "We should just go this way." And so Ellie takes the boat.
And he goes this way.
And then they end up meeting up at the aquarium anyway. But Tommy is there as well.
Did they say
because Tommy and Jesse met up, and then they find you after you killed a woman with child and Owen.
Oh, dang.
Owen is
Abby's friend.
Like love interest, I guess, but he was with another girl who was the one who was having the baby.
They're both dead now.
And after you leave the aquarium and go back to the theater with Tommy, Abby conveniently finds you.
Oh, okay.
She's just like, "Hey," and kills Jesse. Boom, dead.
She just happens to find you?
She just happens to meet you at the theater, kill Jesse, and have Tommy under her foot and gunpoint to Ellie. And then flashback, say, "Day 1, you're Abby, and you're forced to play as Abby." And
that's pretty rough.
I can only assume that from now to the rest of the game, you have to play as Abby.
For the next 4 days.
For the next 4 days until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then...
So what do you think it's going to show from Abby's perspective?
Well, it already showed her father dying, which gives a lot more reason to the fact of why she killed Joel.
Okay.
And...
What was the reason?
Because Joel killed her father.
Oh, well, I mean, was there any other...
Well, besides that, I mean, the obvious fact of he took Ellie, which would have helped a lot of people. Which
that's another thing
like
is
it might have been pointless. On like there.
Yeah, I actually read a lot
chance.
of theories that were like it actually probably wouldn't have worked more likely than would have.
Yeah, so it's like she would have died from.
And she would have just died, and like the blood wouldn't have done anything, and then okay, that's great.
Yeah.
And other people were saying like, okay, yeah, a vaccine, sure, but then how is a vaccine going to help you if one of the zombies that's still a zombie bites your face off and kills
Exactly.
you? So it's like, would a vaccine really help? I don't know. There's no really way to know.
I guess not. And I feel like there's got to be more immune people. I mean, I feel like, yeah, you've never encountered one.
That's because they didn't write them in.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts so far? Because I know you were hopeful when you first started playing.
Before
the Joel segment.
I had low expectations.
Because you heard people didn't like it. We didn't know why.
Yeah, I didn't know why. Until...
Just now.
Or, well, 12 hours ago.
12 hours. Yeah.
I mean, it's not horrible. It's just they could have done better, I think, with the writing aspect and making Abby a more likable character. Because the fact that I don't like her so much makes me not want to play.
Well, how much have you run into her?
I've run into her killing Joel.
And just now. So you haven't actually talked to Abby or seen her?
But I have played at least about like 20 minutes of gameplay with her. I just don't like her.
Okay.
Much.
This is your chance. I guess this is the game's chance to
make her likable.
Be empathetic towards her.
And I get it. Okay, her father died because of Joel, so it makes sense. It's like it's making me understand more.
It's like, okay, so this is Joel's action, and then Abby's action is Joel's consequence. Yeah. It makes sense that he died. It almost would have been weird if he survived.
Exactly.
I just don't think they should have done it so early. Because then it's like, it doesn't
I feel like it would have been a much more emotional moment if they would have waited.
Because then it's like, there's no build-up. It's just intro sequence, he's dead. Go find his killer.
I don't know. It's not a bad game so far, at least. It's just
the gameplay itself is fun.
Gameplay itself is great.
But it's a
story
game.
The story is a little bit
chunky.
Okay. I like their ideas. It's just they didn't really...
Execution isn't exactly what you wanted.
And I think from the get-go, it is nowhere near as interesting as the first game.
That's the problem. I think a sequel always has that expectation, especially when.
So here's a difference, an example of my experience with the first game. Every day I was like excited to
get into
it right away. With this one, it's not like a chore, but it's more like, okay, I guess I'm gonna do it. Like,
it's less of an end of the day treat. I'm gonna go play my game. It's more like a, I better get back to my project. Yeah. It's
not like as exciting, I guess.
Right. Which is a little sad.
Yeah. And imagine people who've been waiting years for this.
Yeah,
compared to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. You didn't play Last of Us when it came out. You played Last of Us like 1 month ago, and then immediately played the second one.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any downtime for you. There was no expectations being raised from it being a 6-year, 7-year wait. It's just 1, 2.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another thing that makes us very interested in that you didn't. It's not, I don't like this because it took so long, and it wasn't what I wanted. It's, I don't like this because it's not well written.
Not that great. And I have no outsider perspective. I have no
nobody has influenced your opinion.
No one's influenced my opinion whatsoever, besides the fact that I just know people didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
There was no opinions that I've heard.
Okay. So I guess I'll probably cut out some of that because it was a little overly just and then here's this. We didn't really talk about any of the plot points.
Not really.
Which if we did, I feel like it would have went an hour and a half.
Right.
Long.
How long have we been talking?
41 minutes.
So the whole episode was just about...
No, 20 minutes was the preamble. Then the next 20 were this. So I'll cut out some of it to make it a little more brevity.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll update you guys next week if Nicole finishes the game.
I'll probably have it finished.
Whenever you finish it...
I don't know how much is left in the game, but I really doubt there's much.
Whenever you finish it is when we'll record the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Which, it could be a week, could be 2 weeks, whatever it is. We're not going to hold ourselves to a deadline this time.
Yeah.
Just in case it takes you a little bit
we didn't technically hold ourselves to a deadline.
We just got lucky.
Yeah.
So...
Do you want to talk about anything else?
I don't know.
I feel like it was very, what's it called? Gravitated.
It was a very video gamey...
It was a very video gamey.
We started with human trafficking and moved to video games afterwards.
Yeah. It's gravitated towards Last of Us quite
very
heavily.
Quick.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what we were excited to talk about that.
Right.
We earlier in the day we were like, no, don't talk about it. We gotta save it for tomorrow.
We had to avoid each other all day.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think we could just leave it at that. I think it was a well-rounded episode.
Sure, yeah.
And then we'll just make it just a, like 35-minute, 40-minute thing.
Sure thing.
That's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for tuning in again. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think it was a very...
I had fun with this one.
Fun one. It wasn't like rapid fire, multiple topics or whatever, but it was quick and to the point, and it was fun. So...
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
We just said that.
Well, it's my turn to say that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And insert everything that you just said.
So yeah, if you guys want to continue the conversation, always feel free to comment down below, or you can tweet us at this is the real TC. That's our Twitter handle. We never tweet ever. We should fix that.
Yeah, we should.
Like
we should get.
now.
We should hire like a social media manager.
$50 a minute. Please tweet for us every second.
If you want to be our social media manager, please contact us. We won't respond.
You
can comment if you want, like on YouTube.
You could also email us at offcialtc@yahoo.com. Official was taken. We did our best. So
don't forget.
Do not.
You will have consequences if you don't do this. You're not gonna say it?
I thought you were gonna say it.
Okay. Markiplier. Don't forget to tell Markiplier.
Yeah, Markiplier. So, okay, a couple people thought that we talked to Markiplier.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
So, I did. At first, I was gonna be like, yeah, dude, I definitely did. But a couple people were like, wow, it's really cool that you talked to him. And I just want to say we did not talk to him.
We were being sarcastic.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually here.
I would have been very excited if he was here, but we didn't actually talk to him.
We haven't actually
as unfortunate as that truth is.
Although we really would love to. Like,
Mark, please. We sound like stalkers, dude.
We do.
Well, I mean, what better way to get someone interested?
Right. We're not weird.
We're not weird, I promise.
And we didn't actually talk to Markiplier, just to make that clear.
We really wish we did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Tell your friends and neighbors.
Whoever you feel like telling.
Tell your
dog or cat.
Or
your fish.
Rat.
Hamster.
Toad. Lizard. Gizzard.
Iguana. Rango 2011.